Hey guys, Dr. Rob here, and I wanted to welcome you to your foundational nutritional program. Now, the first thing I want to say is we are super excited for you. You will be emailed your nutritional guide, and I just wanted to say really just how excited we are. This is the first major step, the first big actual step in the clinic, the first big eating program for you. And let me also say, yours might be modified a little. If your doctor modified yours or changed yours, it might not be exactly what I review here today with you. But the purpose of today is just to give you the general gist of what this is, just to maybe have you understand the purpose and just clear up any confusions. So let's start. All right, so first off, the purpose. So what's the purpose of the foundational nutritional program? Well, the purpose of it is a couple. The first thing is we have key foods. So I created key foods for the body when a person's brand new in our clinic, so we can start lightly cleansing the liver, giving foods that are rebuilding and nourishing to the liver, giving foods that are anti-inflammatory to the joints of the body, to the tissues of the body, and also foods that are anti-inflammatory to the blood vessels of the body. That's very important. And then also we wanted to give you key foods that are going to help to support the improvement in your fat burning hormones and the reduction in those nasty fat storing hormones. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure that this program for you was filled with lots of nutrition, right? We want lots of good nutrition that could feed your body and feed your cells. Now I wanted to cover some key highlights. And the first thing I wanted to cover is foods in general. There is, when you get your foundational nutritional program, you'll see that there's a number of supportive links that are attached in there. Like there's one link for my recipe guide, my handbook and recipe guide. And it's recommended that all patients read the first 3 chapters of that guide because it's filled with lots of great information about food, about what really qualifies as food, about like what they put in food. And one of the things that we cover in there is organic food. And there'll even be a link in your guide that covers organic food, and it covers a list called the Clean 15, another list called the Dirty Dozen, and then another list called the Dastardly Duo. And what these are, the Clean 15 are, if you're on a budget and you can't really afford to eat all or mostly organic, then the Clean 15 are foods that have been analyzed by the Environmental Working Group, which is an amazing non-for-profit organization. And they've identified these foods and said, they're pretty clean. There's not a whole lot of pesticides in them. There's not a whole lot of herbicides. And for the most part, you could eat them and you're pretty good. So then there's the Dirty Dozen, which is no. Like for example, apples and blueberries. Those guys, you want to always make sure they are washed when you get them non-organic, and you typically don't want to eat those, let me back up. Apples and blueberries, you do not want to buy them unless they're organic, and you want to make sure when they're organic, you wash them really well. But for non-organic, I typically do not eat non-organic apples and blueberries. So there's that great information that's in there, and I want you to take a look at that. There's also information that you'll read in that guide on seeds and nuts, that you should eat, ideally, your seeds and nuts raw, if you choose to eat that as one of your food groups, as well as you should sprout them, you should soak them overnight. And there's a link that's in your eating program. If you click on that link, it'll take you to another link that has a video as well as has a nice descriptive guide of the different nuts and seeds, how long to soak each for. Like for example, a cashew, it's not really a nut, it's more like a bean. And a cashew, you really only soak for about 2 to 4 hours. Whereas an almond, which is a nut, you'll soak that overnight for 8 hours. And in that section, it covers why you should do that, why you should soak your nuts, why it's so important, and seeds, and how to do it, and how long for each type of nut and seed. So make sure to read all that. Make sure to click on all the links and read everything in there. Now, some key foods that I want to cover with you. Under the fat sections, one of the best fats that you can have are avocados, especially if you're a woman. There's a video that I did on that and why it's so beneficial, but just to give you a quick little piece of information, if you look at an avocado and you look at an ovary, they are really similar in their appearance. And that's because to make female hormones, you need certain nutrients, and an avocado has just about every nutrient a woman needs to manufacture the majority of the female sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, so on and so forth. They're great ovary foods. And then we have, of course, our oils, and there's a couple oils I want to talk about. One is flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil is amazing for women, more amazing for women than men. So if you're a guy, kind of steer more towards olive oil. If you're a woman, you could have olive oil, flaxseed, or coconut. The flaxseed oil is never cooked. You never cook flaxseed oil, or else it'll destroy the actual oil itself, and it will cause carcinogenous, cancer-causing compounds. So we never heat flaxseed oil. It can be used in dressings. Olive oil is a great oil. You can cook with olive oil up to about 350 degrees in the oven, and about medium, a little bit higher than medium on the stovetop. That's about it. When you get too high, olive oil is linked in chains, like oils are actually linked in chains, or fatty acid chains is what they're called. And they have these links together. And if you cook olive oil too high, it breaks the links apart. And when those things break apart, what then occurs is it forms little cancer compounds in the end. So you definitely don't want to do that. An oil that you can cook with at high temperature would be refined avocado oil. That's a great oil to cook with at high temperature. You could also cook with refined coconut oil at high temperatures. Another great oil for you to consume is actually organic virgin coconut oil. And the reason why that's so good is coconut oil has what are called MCTs in it, medium chain triglycerides. And those actually, for the most part, can't be stored in your body. They have to be burned as fat. So coconut oil has a unique characteristic compared to some of the other oils in that it can actually elevate your metabolic rate. It can improve your metabolism and your ability to burn fat. So coconut oil is a great oil. Now, when we get down from oils, we look at your proteins. There's a couple proteins I want to talk about. One, if you're the first 21 days, you generally aren't going to do red meat because we want to give the liver a break. And liver's kind of hard, red meat is kind of hard for the liver to break down and process. However, once you get past those 21 days and you start to introduce red meats, I always recommend organic grass-fed beef, organic grass-fed bison, any type of red meat that's organic and grass-fed. If you can't get organic, at least get grass-fed. If you can't get grass-fed and you can't get organic, I do not recommend you eat meats. There are like 80% of the antibiotics that are consumed in this country are consumed through livestock. They give them to our animals to keep them free from bacteria so they don't get infected or less likely to get infected. But what happens is all those antibiotics, a tremendous amount of antibiotics, get into the actual meat tissue. We eat them, and lo and behold, that causes health problems. Those antibiotics damage the beneficial bacteria in our gut. Some of you might have gut problems, so you definitely want to steer clear of that. The other thing that I wanted to note is when we're looking at our red meats, we also have to understand the hormone content. Cattle is injected with hormones to make them grow big, like the bodybuilder in the gym that wants to grow big. Well, hormones, steroids, estrogens can make our cows grow big. So for poultry and for red meat, I always recommend for red meats, you go organic and grass-fed, or at least grass-fed, and for poultry, I always go organic. Now, when we get into fish, the best fish for most of you on this program is going to be wild-caught salmon. Wild-caught salmon is great. Excellent source of what's called CLA, conjugated linolenic acid, which actually has some anti-tumor properties to it. Salmon is also very high in our essential fatty acids like EPA and DHA. So salmon is just a wild-caught salmon. Sockeye salmon, also very high in an antioxidant that has been shown to help with stomach inflammation and gut inflammation. So your wild-caught salmon is a great form of protein for you. Lastly, I want to talk to you about the carbohydrates. And there's two groups of carbs in specific I want to talk to you about. And that's your vegetables and your fruits. And there's a specific form of vegetables, which is your cruciferous vegetables. Providing you don't have significant hypothyroidism, we want you to have a lot of cruciferous vegetables usually, because those are very healing for the liver. They're anti-cancerous. They help to reduce inflammation in the body. They help to combat free radical formation. They're just amazing, amazing vegetables. And we want you to have that. You know, if you even think of the name cruciferous and crucifix, it's kind of like God was like, these guys are important, you know, so make sure you eat them. And then we have our berries. And when we look at our berries, we have our blueberries, our strawberries, our raspberries, and our blackberries. We also have our acai berry, harder to find here locally. However, you can buy online these frozen packages of organic acai berry puree. There's only 4 grams of carbs for a whole package, tremendous amount of antioxidants. You could actually add that to your yogurts if you want to, which are just going to greatly kick up your your content of antioxidants. So that's a possibility. But just looking at the berries that we have access to, blueberries, organic, are going to be your best source of berry. Very high in antioxidants. Berries, some berries actually have the capacity to reduce inflammation quite significantly in the body. And sometimes they could even help to reduce inflammation in the blood vessels. And that is really great because many people have inflammation in their body that's affecting their blood vessels and they don't know about it. That damage to their blood vessel can lead to stroke, can lead to coronary heart disease, and a variety of other issues. So berries are going to be awesome. And then the last thing we're going to talk about here are our beverages and our spices. So beverages, we want you to drink water, ideally half your body weight in ounces of water. So that means if you're 200 pounds, have 100 ounces of water. Now we want you to have good, clean water. In there, you'll see there's a link to a reverse osmosis system. I make no profit off this. I don't have any connection with the company. I'm just basically showing you different products you could use that are cost effective to filter your water to give you a high quality water source. And don't worry if you're concerned about reverse osmosis because it removes all the minerals from your water, which it does. You have just clean, pure water at the end of it for the most part. You can buy a remineralizer, which is a little attachment that goes on the end of your reverse osmosis filters that the water passes through and it naturally picks up minerals, much like mountain water would passing through rock, pick up natural minerals or waters that are coming up from the bowels of the earth. They pass through the different levels of rock and they're able to naturally pick up minerals. So I want you to have a good, clean, filtered water, half your body weight in ounces of water. Definitely avoid consumption of plastic water bottles. When water sits in plastic for a long time, it absorbs the BPA, which acts like a hormone disruptor, disrupts your body's own hormone imbalance, your body's own hormones. It could act like estrogen in the body. It's just not good for your body. There's also phthalates in there, which can be linked to type 2 diabetes. They create inflammation. They're also endocrine disruptors. It's just bad stuff. So try to steer clear of the plastic water bottles. Go with a home filtration system. If you want to just fill up a plastic water bottle and drink it out of there, that's not too bad. The problem is when the water sits and becomes heated. And when we buy water bottles off the shelf, those things, they could sit in the back of a truck, especially in the middle of summer. If you live in Georgia, forget about it. Those water bottles are boiling, right? So you're going to pull and leach in all kinds of nasty plastic chemicals that you definitely don't want to have in your body. And we've even picked these up in labs. There's different lab studies that we can do that look for plastics, and we've done that in the past for certain cases. And we actually find them. So you definitely don't want to be highly involved in plastics. So we want good, clean water. We don't want to drink out of plastic water bottles. We want half our body weight in ounces per day. You can also have unsweetened almond milk and unsweetened coconut milk. That's good. There's even a new milk. It comes from pea protein. It's Bolt House Farms. You got to get the unsweetened one. There's about 10 grams of pea protein in there. There's 0 grams of sugar. There's 1 gram of carbs. And there's about 450 milligrams of calcium in there and 110% of the USRDA of B12. Now, as far as herbs and spices are concerned, you can and we'd like you to use as much natural spice and herbs as you'd like. Some of the top spices and herbs are going to be turmeric, which is great for inflammation, cayenne, which is great for improving metabolism and pain, oregano and thyme, which are great for immune system, and rosemary, which is great for your brain. Of course, if something bothers your stomach, just simply don't use it. Like some people's stomach might be irritated by cayenne pepper, black pepper, or ginger. So if you're one of those people, simply just don't use that particular herb if it's irritating to you. So that's your foundational nutritional program. That's the first step. Now, please understand, you may be on 3, 4, 5 different eating programs. Each eating program is usually designed for a different length. On average, 2 to 4 weeks. Some will run longer, some will run 6 or 8 weeks, depending upon what's going on with the uniquenesses of your body. And then often we do have to tailor make nutritional programs for the person, depending upon, again, the uniquenesses that are going on in your body. So always follow your doctor's recommendations. If I'm saying, hey, blueberries are the best berry, and your doctor goes, don't eat any blueberries, listen to your doctor, because chances are he probably has a lab test in front of him that's showing a very high level of antibodies that your body's producing against blueberries. Or maybe he's muscle tested you or has done something to identify blueberries are no good. So always listen to your doctor. And look, I cannot wait to hear your testimonies. You know, you've probably been to my website, you've probably read some of our reviews. I love our patients' testimonies. This is why I do this. This is why I wake up every morning and bust my butt in the office to help patients, because I want you guys well. I personally know what it's like to lose my health. I know what it's like to live with people that have lost their health. I grew up with two parents that unfortunately had cancer and passed away when I was young. And look, you don't have to be there. Eating right, helping your body with the correct nutritional supplements, you literally can help your body heal itself. So I'm excited for your testimonials. I'm excited to hear about all your good, amazing stuff. If you ever want to email me, you can always email me. You can email our staff. We're here for you. We are on your team. We are on your team. So if you ever have any upsets or ever have any issues, please understand you can always come to us. We want you to come to us. We never intend for there to ever be an issue or a problem. But if there is, we want to correct it. So let's go kick some butt. And let's get this body of yours well, and let's hopefully get this body into the state where you want it to be, which is healthy, fit, at the ideal weight for you. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for trusting me and being a patient. I'm praying that you are going to love this. See ya.